from break. Okay, we're ready. Okay, so our listening skills focus today is on cohesive devices for comparison and contrast. Oh my goodness, we have a really fancy title with big words. What do we understand from this? Any word that you understand, you know what it means. Tell me. Are there any words or any single word on the board that you have heard before? Oh, you know comparison. Yes. What does comparison mean? What do we talk about when we talk about comparison?
For example, two countries, you can do some comparison.
You can compare two countries, right? Okay, very good. Now, what about the other word, contrast?
The difference?
Against
Differences, okay. So can we say that when we are talking about comparison, we are talking about similarities?
Yes.
Okay, how they are similar. And when we talk about contrast, we are talking about differences, right? Okay. Talking about similarities. And talking about differences, that's right. Okay, cohesive devices. What are those? Cohesive devices are words and phrases that help us understand the relationship between sentences, between different language chunks and elements. The words and phrases that we will be looking at today, will help you recognize when you're listening to speech that the person is talking about similarities or differences. So these are words and phrases, the cohesive devices are words and phrases that we use in the language to connect ideas, to connect different language bits. We're going to compare and contrast, so we need two things. We have been talking about how to answer questions at the doctor's office when you have some pain. Now, when you do have pain, what medication do you guys take? You have a headache or something hurts. You want to take some Tylenol, okay? Anything else? Do you know any other pain medication? Advil, okay. Tylenol and Advil are very common. So you might take Advil or you might take Tylenol. Okay, we have two things to compare. So let's talk about these. What is the same in them? How are they similar?
They are tape.
Pardon?
They are tape.
Table.
They are tablets. Are you saying tablets, Shima?
Yes.
Yeah, very good. Okay. So to talk about similarities, we might use the word both. We're going to say something that is true about both of these medications. So you suggested that they are both tablets. Okay, excellent. Very good. It is possible that you might hear the word both at the very beginning of the sentence. We might say both Tylenol and Advil are tablets. Okay, so you might hear the word at the very beginning of the sentence, or you might hear the word somewhere in the middle of the sentence. Both is a cohesive device. Both is one of the words that can help us understand that the speaker is telling us about similarities. As soon as I hear the word both, I think comparison, similarities, okay? Another one that we can use is the adjective similar. Tylenol and Advil are similar medications. Or you might hear something like Tylenol is similar to Advil. Moving on, we can also have phrases, not just single words. So we'll be looking at two phrases next. And the first one is just like. And similarly to. Notice the three dots. This continues, so we're going to mention one of the items that we are comparing. So just like A, B is also something. Just like Tylenol, Advil is also a pain medication. Or similarly to Tylenol, Advil is also a pain medication. Just like and similarly to. And we look at three more phrases, and that's likewise, similarly, and in the same way. Likewise, similarly, and in the same way. Can you see this down here, in the same way?
Yes.
Yeah. these a little bit differently from the ones before. We are going to say a full sentence about one of the items that we are comparing, and these are going to introduce the second sentence. So an example for this is Tylenol is good in treating fever and pain. This is our first sentence. Likewise, Advil helps you feel better when you are sick or hurt. So this is a little bit longer than the previous ones because we're using more than one sentence. Our first sentence is Tylenol is good at treating pain and fever. In the same way, or likewise, or similarly, Advil helps you feel better when you're sick or hurt. Tylenol is good at treating pain and fever. In the same way, Advil helps you feel better when you are sick or hurt. These are the cohesive devices for comparison that we're going to learn and practice listening for today. As you saw, some of them are single words, just like both and similar, or likewise or similarly, and some of them have more than one word, 2 or 3 word phrases. Every time you hear any of these phrases in a dialogue, in a presentation, you will know immediately that they are talking about comparison. They are talking about similarities between those 2 items they are comparing. Okay? Now let's look at differences. How can we contrast 2 items? How can we describe differences between 2 items? Let's start with the most obvious ones. We can start with but, or however, and nevertheless. Talking about our medications here, we might say, as an example, Advil treats inflammation. However, Tylenol does not. As soon as I hear the word however, I know that a difference is coming. Advil treats inflammation, but Tylenol doesn't. The next two phrases that are used very similarly are in contrast, and on the other hand. As an example, you might hear, Advil is hard on your stomach. On the other hand, Tylenol is hard on your liver. There's another difference. Advil is hard on your stomach. On the other hand, or in contrast, on the other hand, Tylenol is hard on your liver. As soon as you hear the phrase in contrast or the phrase on the other hand, you will know that the speaker is pointing out a difference between the two items. Another two phrases that we're going to add is in contrast to and unlike. Unlike and in contrast to. Unlike A, B is different. In contrast to A, B is different. Our sentence here can be using the information from our first example. We can say that unlike Advil, Tylenol does not treat inflammation. Or in contrast to Advil, Tylenol does not treat inflammation. Unlike Advil, Tylenol does not treat inflammation. We have two more words to look at for contrast. You might be familiar with them already, while and whereas. Using the information in our second set of cohesive devices here, what the medications are hard on, we can say Advil is hard on your stomach, while Tylenol is hard on your liver. When you hear that little word while in the middle of the sentence, you will automatically know that there's a difference. Something different is coming. Is hard on your stomach, while or whereas Tylenol is hard on your liver. We have cohesive devices, words and phrases, to talk about similarities over here. And we have cohesive devices, words and phrases to talk about differences on that board. So our phrases for today, our words and phrases for today are both, similar, just like, similarly to, likewise, similarly, in the same way. Over here for contrast, we have but, however, nevertheless, in contrast, on the other hand, unlike, in contrast to, while, and whereas. We are going to listen to a very short, not speech, really a question and an answer on what the differences and similarities are between Tylenol and Advil. You will hear this information. The sentences that we used as examples will be the sentences that you will hear. I'm going to ask you, while you're listening, to please circle the cohesive devices that you hear. You will hear some of these words, or words and phrases to express similarities, and you will hear some of these here. Okay, so as you listen, please circle the ones that you hear.